Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 27th, 2018 meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Ossining. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Shaw,
Present.
Councilmember DeTore,
Present.
Councilmember Wilshire,
Present.
Councilmember Feldman,
Present.
and Supervisor Levenberg.
Here.
Do we have any announcements?
We do. My colleagues want to start? You want me to start?
You start.
Okay, I'll start. Last week I had an opportunity to meet with over 70 county, state, and municipal leaders to discuss how we can take an organized approach to utility companies such as Con Ed and NYSEG's storm response. While we certainly didn't have it as bad in Ossining as others did, there were many who were without power for over a week. How Con Ed responds, communicates with the public, distributes resources, and is held to task by the PSC were all topics on the table. Assemblyman David Buchwald has taken the lead on coordinating our responses along with County Executive George Latimer, so stay tuned for more as we work collaboratively to address these issues. Saturday at noon, I was so proud to be in the audience to listen to students from Ossining, Briarcliff, and Croton speak passionately about the need for all of us in government to come together across party lines to address gun violence in this country, and specifically to find ways to keep violent gun incidents from happening in our schools. These students were all so well-spoken and inspiring. I am confident that we will be in good hands as they mature and are able to vote. And I look forward to working together with my colleagues to do anything that we can to help avoid incidents in our schools. On Saturday night, I had the pleasure of attending the Lincoln Society of Peekskill's annual dinner honoring Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff with their Champion of History Award. It was an honor to present her with a proclamation from the town, recognizing her for all the good work she has done through her assembly district as a leader, mentor, and champion of history. Last night, I joined Neighbors Link at an event to honor all of their volunteers. I'm so excited to announce they will be opening their doors in Ossining on Spring Street on April 9th. More information to come. I was humbled by all of the incredible work and training these volunteers do every day for this organization that helps immigrants not be taken advantage of and become a part of our community. Ossining's own David Lortan, who works with the HELP Committee at St. Anne's Church, was instrumental in bringing this wonderful program to Ossining. I presented Dave with a proclamation congratulating him on behalf of the town on being honored with Neighbors Link Above and Beyond Award. We had a wonderful representation from Ossining at the event. And today I participated in a workshop sponsored by United Way of Northern Westchester and hosted by Westchester Library Systems, working with the National Summer Learning Academy to look at a systematic approach to fill the summer learning deficit that exists when students are not in school. We have a number of town programs that could be part of this effort, and I am optimistic that additional resources may be available to work on improving our deliverables. As we continue to work with other agencies and organizations, we may be able to come together to find some solutions to this very difficult problem. We have an exciting week coming up between Passover, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday. As a quick reminder, town offices will be closed beginning at noon on Friday, March 30th, in observance of the holiday. So if you need to come see us, try to visit before lunchtime on Friday. If you are not observing Good Friday or the first night of Passover this Friday night, join Westchester Collaborative Theater at 23 Water Street for Play in the Box, a chance to see WCT playwrights workshopping their plays. $5 at the door gets you an evening of local theater and a peek behind the curtain of the creative process. The event begins at 8 p.m. Speaking of Easter, bring your kids to this year's Egg Extravaganza this Saturday, March 31st at Ryder Park at 10 a.m. and at Nelson Sitting Park at 12 noon. Be sure to arrive 15 minutes early to get the best crack at the egg hunt, and make sure to bring your own basket or bag to gather up your special treats. You may even get a chance to pose with the Big Bunny. This event is appropriate for families with children aged pre-K through 4th grade. Ferry Sloops will kick off their 2018 lecture series on Wednesday, April 4th, when Ossining Village historian Dana White will present On the Ossining Waterfront, a tangled tale of epic change, human tragedy, and real estate. Come learn about the rich history of our very own Ossining waterfront, including who called it home before us, and how its usage has changed over time. If you've heard Dana White's lectures before, you know this is one you won't want to miss. Join us at Chatham Yacht Club at 7:30 p.m. for this very special look back in time, full of familiar names, faces, and places. IFCA's 50th Anniversary Award Luncheon takes place on Saturday, April 7th at the Briarcliff Manor at 12 noon. Tickets are still available for this special event, and proceeds benefit one of the hardest working organizations in Ossining. As an added bonus, our town clerk, Marianne Roberts, will be honored at the lunch in recognition of her contributions as an IFCA board member, as well as to our community. Contact IFCA at 941-5252 for more information about the anniversary luncheon, silent auction, and award ceremony. And thank you so much to Town Board Member Karen DeTore, who also serves as IFCA's Executive Director, for all of your hard work benefiting our community through IFCA's fantastic programming and dependable resources. Also on Saturday, April 7th, the Yorktown Grange will hold their third annual seed swap between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Find those seeds you've been searching for. Head over to 99 Mosman Road in Yorktown Heights and check out the selection. There's a $5 per person contribution at the door. On Saturday, April 21st, we will be joining with the Village of Ossining to celebrate Ossining's annual Earth Day at Lewis Angle Park, organized by Green Ossining and led by the sustainable superstar Susie Ross. The event begins at 10 a.m. and goes until 5 p.m., and there will be plenty to do to keep you occupied. This year's theme is Our Sustainable Community, and you will have a chance to check out artisanal vendors, local food, including vegan and vegetarian fare, educational opportunities, and eco-demos and activities. Ossining's event has been arguably the best attended in Westchester for the past several years, so mark your calendar now for a beautiful day down at the waterfront with several thousand of your friends and neighbors. Finally, on Saturday, April 28th, the Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy will be kicking off their grave cleaning season at 9 a.m. at Dale Cemetery. No experience is required, just a willingness to get a little dirty and maybe a little damp. Follow the yellow arrows when you arrive, and the OHCC will take it from there. And that is it for my many announcements. Does anybody else have any announcements they would like to add to the fray?
Oh, just one.
Okay.
Okay, well, the Ossining Boat Canoe Club had its second annual photo exhibit and show, complete with hors d'oeuvres. There were many wonderful photos on display, mostly of the Hudson River and even from Croton and Ossining. It was really great. The exhibit will still be up during the membership meeting next Wednesday, April 11th. So if you're not already a member, you can go on the OBCC website at obcc.org to learn more about the club and click and find out more about membership, or you can just come on down before the meeting around 7 and probably take a look at the photos before they get started. So all are welcome. April 11th. Not next week. It's always the second Wednesday of the month.
Anybody else? Announcements? No? Okay. How about liaison reports? I think that's what's next. Any liaison reports? All right. Hearing none, I guess we will move directly into our departmental reports. And this evening we were supposed to have two departments reporting tonight, but unfortunately our parks foreman had a little run-in with some wood chip. So there's been a lot of storm damage that Parks and Highway have had to take care of, and unfortunately that took him out. So we'll hopefully be able to hear from him next week or at a future meeting. We'll keep you posted.
He's okay,
But,
right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay.
We'll more information. But we do have our town building inspector, John Hamilton, here tonight. John has joined us to discuss how we might handle ground-mounted solar in our community, among other things. So hopefully we'll hear a little bit about that and any other updates you choose to share.
So good evening. I'm just giving you a quick update here. It won't take long. With the end of the moratorium, we've seen a lot of activity in the building department. We've already issued 99 building electrical and plumbing permits along with title searches. We've already conducted 54 inspections of the fire inspections, accessory apartments, building permit inspections, and complaints. So we're moving along rapidly there. We have 362 alarm permits out. We handled part of them in December and then the rest of them now. So we did 116 of the remaining 362. We did have 5 that didn't respond. So those 5 were sent certified letters advising them that under the ordinance, they no longer have a valid permit. Should their alarm go off, we forward it to the police department. They'll receive a summons to go to court and pay the fines for that. But we do have quite a few projects coming along right now. We have Parth Knowles at 86 Hawks Avenue, which just issued a building permit for the 2 foundations for the buildings that are going up over there. Just the foundations only at this time. So they're starting that project now. The artist property at 553 North State Road, which is going to be the senior facility, they just submitted a building permit application to us, and we'll be reviewing that. It's rather extensive. It's going to take several weeks, and then before we issue the permit, I want to sit down with them and have a pre-planning meeting with them to decide all the stages and what I want from them even before they start construction. And Bethany Arts Center is doing very well. We're going to give a CO now for the entire building. We gave them a temporary. We're going to give them a permanent CO with the exception of the kitchen. Board of Health is kind of falling behind, so they don't have their Board of Health permit. They won't use the kitchen, but the whole facility should be open very soon. They just have to give us a little bit more documentation, and we'll be done with it. One of the things, main thing I wanted to talk about was solar panels. We are receiving inquiries now for information on placing them in the yards or on accessory buildings. If they go into a yard, we're going to treat them as an accessory structure, which means they have to be 10 feet off the property lines, and they'd have to be in the side yards or the rear yards. But that's the only stipulation there is, and I'm a little concerned about that, because if somebody comes in and decides to put 25 solar panels in the yard, and you're the next door neighbor, and they're all facing your house because that's where the sun is, it may not be the most pleasant view. And we have nothing to restrict that. The state has issued guidelines now on these systems, but they're all for specifications on technical workings of them, so there's nothing to deal with this. We're also seeing, we've already had 2 inquiries to put commercial farms, solar farms, on residential properties. And we've denied both of them because you cannot use a residential property for commercial purposes. If they want to do that, they have to go to the zoning board. But these are starting to come, and we have absolutely zero regulations on them, nothing. And again, my concern is that it could affect neighbors, and we need to know what's going on with them. I just had a couple of recommendations that the board might want to consider. If we're going to be putting these things on residential properties in yards, or if we're going to even on commercial properties, we might want to think of a minimum lot size for how many X number of panels. If you want to put 10 panels, you need this much. If you want to put 20, you need this much. I think location on the property is important. Possible front yard prohibition. I say possible there because I don't know. Similar to when we had the satellite dishes, we prohibited them, the whole county did in certain locations, and the FCC came in and said you can't do that. I don't know if there's going to be any prohibitions regarding solar panels if we say you can't put it in the front yard, if they turn around and say, yes, you can. But I don't think we really want them in the front yard if we could avoid it, just like we don't want any accessory structure in the front yard. And I would like all of them, with the exception of on the main house, if we decide to put them on an accessory structure, or if we decide to put them on the ground, I'm hoping the board would consider sending them to the Architectural Review Board. We need to see if there's a way to properly screen them. I know we can't take away any of the sunlight from them, but maybe we can put enough screening up so it doesn't interfere with the neighbors at that time. I think that's the biggest issue I wanted to mention to you tonight. It's coming down the pike. It's coming down very fast. I know one of these applicants indicated they did want to go to the zoning board. So I think that we have to decide how this community wants to handle this.
Okay. Thank you for that. Do you have anything else?
Nope, that'll do it. I told you to be short and sweet.
I think that what we should do is schedule a work session, and we'll bring some recommendations from some of our neighboring communities. I think Sustainable Westchester might have some recommended codes, and bring David Stallman probably in to talk about that and what he's seen in other communities, what maybe has been working.
Have you seen any regulations that you thought were helpful anywhere?
I haven't looked at any other communities yet. I just started researching this because this is just starting to come into us, so I just began the research on it. I like your idea of having others come in to a work session. and see what's going on, and then see what works best for us.
And I think the Village of Ossining does have some,
Do they?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Not positive, but I'm pretty
The
sure.
Pace Land Use Law Center actually issued a document a couple of years ago, supported by NYSERDA. I'm not exactly sure how they were involved,
Mhm.
but it does go through solar, excuse me, solarizing different municipalities, and it identifies various different municipalities, the types of zoning regulations they've enacted to try to do what Mr. Hamilton is suggesting, and kind of put some more controls on the bulk requirements that are required for this type of use.
And maybe since some other communities have had some stuff, some code in place already, that we can take a look and see how that's fallen out for them, good or bad, if they've had to tweak it along the way. So maybe we can take a look at and see if there have been any legal battles that have ensued or anything like that. So, and then we can come to the board with, maybe we'll send that document around for everybody to take a look at, and then we can talk about it at a work session, and then again with some guidance from our planner.
We can pull the codes of some of the local municipalities so that you can, these are just, I mean, this is a great starting point because it identifies those municipalities. So you're not just, searching blind, but we can go and look at those municipal codes and see how they handled it in different ways. And so I think it would probably be beneficial to, as you were saying, have an initial discussion with those types of options and see what this board is looking for with input from some other consultants, Mr. Hamilton, Mr. Solman, and then maybe work with a planner to try to draft something.
It's one of the things that kind of worries me, in the meantime, is that if it's treated as an accessory structure, which makes sense, maximum height is 15 feet. So think about it. If somebody decides to put 10 or 15 of these panels at 15 feet on the back of their property, it could be an issue. So hopefully we'll act on it. Okay.
Thank you.
Maddie's already sent down for the next visit. On the June one, I'd like to put something together and talk to you, revisit accessory apartments again in other buildings,
Okay.
other than the main one. We're getting a lot of requests again from seniors.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's actually something else that we might want to talk about sooner rather than later, in terms of, if, I'd love
Let
to
me know
get some
when.
of that information, because if we're going to have David at a meeting anyway, it might be worthwhile talking about, if there's a way to proceed positively with that.
I look forward to it. Whenever
Okay.
you're ready, let me know. I'll be there.
Okay, great.
All right? Thank you.
Thanks. Right. Yeah, he's going to be here next week, John, just FYI.
Sorry?
John, David Stallman is probably going to be at our work session next week.
All right, I'll talk with you about it and see if you can, if anything, I got to put it together. All right, thank you.
Okay. Oh, did anybody have questions for John besides those things that I said? Okay. Sorry, John.
Hi, good
trying to-
evening. I'm here to discuss the solar.
No, I think we're good. Right? Everybody okay? Okay, fantastic.
Thank you, John.
All right, thanks so much, John. Thanks for your time.
No, I was gonna say,
Hope you had a good dinner.
I was gonna say though, with David.
Yeah.
What we have to pay him, it may be good to get everything we need at one
Exactly,
time.
at one meeting. Yeah. We'll do that. Okay, so I think that's it for departmental reports. So we're gonna move into,
Public comments on agenda items. Is there anyone who's come to address the board on any agenda items?
okay,
Kindly state your name and your residential address.
Mr. Hofflick, come on up.
Actually sit down up here, so you'll have to excuse me.
Could he sit over here?
Okay.
Take that out.
Mark Hoflick, Planning Board Member, Town of Austining. I'm only saying that at the moment because I just want to add one element dealing with what John Hamilton said about the solar panels. As a member of the Planning Board and as a member of the Architectural Review Board, I think our group should also be involved in that. In addition to not just solar panels, but possibly also in the future, wind farms and windmills and things like that, in addition to something like geothermal. There's other elements out there. It's not just solar panels. So this is something that should be thought of, and it's not just that one element.
We have a
But it's a great
geothermal.
topic to
But
think
the
about.
only thing, I mean, geothermal is usually something that people do to their building,
They
right?
do it to their,
It's not something you do it outside of your building. It's like, it would be built like underneath your building, right?
but you're drilling very deep.
Okay.
Okay, that has an environmental effect. But those are the three items that should be brought up to the planning board and the architectural review board. Mark Hoflick, 98B Morningside Drive. Thank you very much, planning, town of Austining. Council members, supervisor, Mary Ann, Maddie, and Elizabeth, thank you very much. I know it's a little late in the day, and I know item K on your list in your agenda, granting a cabaret license for renewal of the ballroom in Westchester, is on the topic. We have been working with Barbara Antis at the Broadway Ballroom, and we actually are going to their property, I think this week on Saturday, for a meeting to discuss the whole situation. But when we were at a town board meeting in February, in middle of February, it was discussed with the council members, the board, all the board, the Austining Police, the Westchester Ballroom, and the residents of Morningside Drive, that on February 23rd in that evening, that there was going to be a sound test on that evening. So a bunch of us stayed home that evening, waiting for that to occur. Unfortunately, that night, it was a snowstorm. So it was, even the ballroom was closed that night, so it didn't happen. So I was a little dismayed when I heard that one was conducted without the residents of Morningside Drive even knowing about it. But I'm just going to continue reading on. If everyone recalls that on that February 23rd, it was snowing, yes, the ballroom was closed. There was no meeting and no notification from the town that the test was being canceled and or rescheduled. We, the residents of Morningside Drive, have expressed our concerns in the past to the town in emails, letter format, and we're awaiting an event when it was going to be rescheduled. Continuing on. Barbara, the owner of the Westchester Ballroom, she sent out a letter. It was it was a nice letter. It was hand delivered to our mailboxes or our residents or houses. And even though it was short notice, we as residents and her as a owner, we said, you know, it's probably better to meet. You suggested it, the town has suggested it, and we're doing it. Yes, it's on a weekend when it's Good Friday, Passover, and Easter, but some of us are taking our time to do that. So when I saw the agenda and it said that the meeting occurred on March 13th, I was a little in shock. And then I was a little in shock that there was a test done on that evening. And it was a concern because when we sat here with the town board, it was suggested by the town board and everyone present that the residents would be a part of it, the town board would be a part of it, the police department would be part of it, and the people taking and the ballroom also. So March 13th occurs, not a single resident knew about it. And in reading the letter, it said that they came onto our properties. We were home that night. No police car or no one came onto our properties. So I'm just going to continue. I'll get to that in a few minutes. We have expressed our concerns about having a commercial enterprise adjacent to residential housing and all our concerns about noise levels. Again, to see that the town board is going to vote tonight on a resolution, whether it's yay or nay, to me does not make sense. We were not notified about that. Then I look at the public hearing of what you're giving tonight as the conditional cabaret license for Westchester Ballroom, item number 3.
I just want to make a couple things clear before you
Yes.
continue, and I'm hoping that you can wrap it up shortly. It's not a public hearing tonight, just to be very clear. We closed the public hearing and we noticed it properly for the continuation of the public hearing at the what 2 meetings ago, I think. As far as the sound test, just so you know, we acknowledge that there wasn't another big event coming up until May. And because there wasn't another big event coming up until May, we decided that we were going to do a separate sound test just to see, basically almost like a baseline sound test to see what a Friday night event sounded like. And that's what happened. And as a result, we came up with a number of conditions to be part of the
Okay,
the
I'm sorry, I'm
reservation.
going to interrupt you.
Okay.
Okay.
But it wasn't a public. It's not a public
At
hearing.
the
today.
public hearing that we were at, you specifically said that the residents of Morningside Drive would be present when that happened. You have broken your vow. You have broken something that you said
I didn't break my vow.
you have broken what was
It wasn't a
written.
vow.
You have broken something that's in the meeting minutes and on the video.
But I didn't because we haven't done that sound test yet. That's what I'm saying.
Then what happened on May
We
13th?
haven't conducted that test because we didn't have an event that we knew in advance that it wasn't going to be a
So,
particularly loud event.
I'm just going to read what you wrote here.
Keep it.
Anyway, we're not going to have a back and forth about this. You can
section number
continue.
5
I just wanted to
and section
clarify.
6 of this.
Okay. I'm not.
Because,
we're not
and I
getting up
know,
to that yet.
excuse me, Fred, and excuse me, my other residents. If you vote on this tonight, I have to take legal action. I'm hiring an attorney. And the attorney is against you. No one else on the board. It's the town, my attorney is going to go after Dana Levenberg
Okay,
of the town
that's,
of Austin. The town
sir,
of Austin.
I'm gonna have to ask you to,
I'm not done. I might have something else to say later on.
I have to recognize you. So, is there anybody else who's here to address the board on any agenda item? Yes. Thank you.
Hi, Board. Kim Jeffrey, 100B Morningside Drive. I do think that we are a little confused. I think we understood that there was a conversation with respect to the fact that there wasn't going to be another event until May. I think there was a conversation about baseline. I think we did think we were going to be part of it. So if that was a misunderstanding on our part, but we all collectively had that same misunderstanding, and, you know, the fact that it was kind of closed, it just did take us by surprise. And I'm not denying that you probably did at the end of that. And I remember you saying we will put it on for, and you set a date. I'm sure nobody listened to the date at the time. And I think what was in our heads was that we were going to first hear about the testing, and that was going to trigger us. Maybe a misunderstanding on our part, but I just want you to know where our minds were. So we believed we were going to be part of that baseline. That would trigger to the next public hearing, and we would have a conversation. So that's kind of where we're coming on to that. I would like to speak to the conditional license. So a few things, and I do reiterate the fact that we're going to have a meeting with the owners. There's let's see. Okay, so further in the license, it speaks down to the fact that all things that happen there must include dance instruction. But number 8 outlines the type of events that can happen. And in it, I think it should specifically next to it say dance parties involving dance instruction, fundraisers involving dance instruction. You know, I think that needs to be very clear because I think the other thing that we had in here is the provision on number 3, the applicant shall ensure compliance with the town's noise code and require DJs and bands performing to sign a statement acknowledging. My suggestion is that the ballroom would have to produce those statements once a month, quarterly, to somebody, whether it be the police or the supervisor's office. I mean, that's for you guys to decide, but having statements that are signed that sit, so far there wasn't compliance before, so I think you should put something in there to make sure there is compliance. It also says that the applicant shall prohibit DJs, this is number 4, from using their own sound equipment. What about bands? How does it work? Bands? Bands. Live bands. I'm not sure I understand how it's going to work for live bands, because our position is that much of the issue that we had was probably having to do with live bands. So I'm not sure how it works. I don't claim to be part of a live band, so I don't know how speakers work or house systems in connection with that. Yeah, well, you know, we need a little bit of humor in the, tonight. And then when it comes to number 13, I feel it gets a little fuzzy. It says that they shall make a good faith and reasonable effort to comply, which is great, but it also says that multiple violations of these conditions may result in the applicant's license being revoked or renewal. My suggestion is that there would be some more stronger language. What's multiple? How many is multiple, by the way? So, you know, maybe such language as any intentional or knowing violation, i.e. allowing an event without dance instruction or with use of sound equipment other than the system shall result, or a number of how many violations constitute failure to notify the supervisor's office. You know, I just think that there should be some more conversation that's, or verbiage that's a little more specific about the things that would constitute a violation, how many, and then what could take away, so that we don't, I think that we are going to go forward, hopefully, on a good foot. I do think there might have to be some conversation about, you know, if it's the house system, I don't think we hear that. I think in the normal course of their business, we don't hear them. So if we really are taking away what we think is the issue with respect to DJs and bands coming in with woofers and things, if that really is it, then maybe we don't have this problem. If that's not, or if that's not what happens, then either we have to do a soundproofing issue, or now we have a bigger problem. So, I mean, I think we're just kind of in this, let's say. So, I think you said in May are when these are going to start again, and that at that point there would be an appointment made or some kind of thing to do this. Would we be involved in that at that time?
Would like that.
Okay.
That was always the plan. The baseline was more for us, so because Friday was not the issue you were having, it was Saturday.
Yes.
They didn't have anything for Saturday planned until May. Right now, they're working without a license, so that's an issue.
Right.
So
Got
it
it.
was more about when we get something for Saturday, then we can really test based on the baseline that we got from Friday, that we did 2
So
weeks ago.
my ask would be that you don't pass this yet before you take a look at some of the suggestions and just, you know, your determination as to whether those would be good or not, just on that basis. But that would, thank you for your time.
Is there anybody else who has not yet addressed us on this? I'm not recognizing Nork again at this point. There's one person. Is there anybody else who'd like to address us? Okay.
Vince, you want, Vince?
Vince, do you want to come up or not? No. Did you want to say anything or not?
Do I want to say something?
Yeah.
When the process of the approval comes up, if you want, I can talk about it now. Or
This is the
Yeah.
time to discuss the resolution and the. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Supervisor and members of the board. My name is Vincent Savino, the attorney for Barbara Antis in Westchester Ballroom. As you know, we've gone through great effort to try to reach out to the local folks here to really come up with a solution to be good neighbors, that sort of thing. They're right, there was a test that took place. I'm sure you've all seen videos and what have you that were well within compliance as well. Unfortunately, they're right, there was a snowstorm, and when I spoke to the lieutenant, we decided that next week was a better time to do it. A letter went out saying that the ballroom was closed, so if the ballroom was closed, it would kind of make sense that there would be no test going on. So, I mean, that would, like I said, I mean, that was the notice that was going out saying that obviously,
I think everybody understands.
yeah, I mean, if it's closed, that kind of thing. I'm happy to see that the board is considering an approval tonight. I just have a couple of comments as well to the approval. As far as where it says, based on the foregoing, the applicant is granted cabaret license. On number 7, what I had spoken to the town attorney today, we're happy to go forward with testing if that's what the board wants on a Saturday party in May, that sort of thing. If they want to come along and go with that, I don't have any exact day in May. What's the date in May? Okay, we can certainly provide you with an exact date of when it is, or the private party in May, and then obviously this is notice much far in advance to get that going. And again, we would assume it would be the same as in the Friday night. We'd be well within compliance, that sort of thing. The next is number 8. Craig Streeter is no longer part of the company, so any references to Greg Streeter would be taken out. There will be responsible parties there, whether it's Barbara or someone else, but there will always be someone there who is taking care of Westchester Ballroom. And again, we are happy to provide the names for those folks in there. And another point before, as far as making, to go to number 10, I'm sorry, no, well, number 10. There was a comment earlier about, having everything say that there's going to be dance instruction. I think number 10 covers that if there's any parties that's going on, it would include dance instruction. So I think it's the same thing. So I mean, it's kind of redundant to have that there. But as long as it's dance instruction, we understand that it would be a part of any of the parties that's there. The next thing is the last thing I should say is the list of dance instructors. I was a little confused about that. I'm not sure why there would be a need to have a list of dance instructors there. I mean, if there's an issue with that, if there's something in the record with the dance instructors, or if there's some kind of issue that needs to be corrected in the record with dance instructions, I'm not aware of it. So, I mean, it seemed to me that can certainly be removed. I mean, as far as that goes, given the issues with privacy today of everything that's going out, it would seem unusual to have a kind of a rolling list of dance instructors on file with the town. A lot of folks don't want to do that. And again, it doesn't make sense to me if there's some kind of relationship to what we're trying to correct, or an issue that's been raised in the record as far as dance instructors. So I believe that should be taken out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Is there anybody else who has anything to adjust the board on any of the agenda items? Mr. Suckle? Come on up. Please just come on and introduce yourself, your name and your address, please.
Fred Suckle, 98B Morningside Drive. It's just a clarification of one thing. You keep saying there's nothing on Friday nights. There is noise on Friday nights.
What we've heard from when people have gotten back to us is that Friday nights haven't been the issue.
It is an issue. Friday nights is an issue.
That's not what we were
That's
told.
not what we
At
were
the public
told in
hearing.
these
That
meetings.
was not
Well,
established.
if-
Kim just said just now.
Well, I hear it on Friday nights. Yeah, I get home. I work on Friday nights. I get home and there is. Yeah, I just want to clarify that there is that. And one more thing, as far as decibel levels, I think there should be, if we can hear it, that's the problem. If we hear loud noise in our house, that's the problem. That's just what I want to say.
So this isn't a public hearing. If you want to ask anything, I'm not having anybody come back up again.
Well, that's the exact comment I'd like to make. I mean, like I said, we've been before the board. We're having a meeting with the residents on 2 o'clock on Saturday. Public hearing's closed. Okay.
Public hearing is closed, so could you please take a seat? Thank you. Okay, so council, would you like to serve us with some sound and sage wisdom at this moment in time.
Obviously, there's been a lot of comments from both the public and the applicant regarding the resolution. Obviously, this was a draft. We had to start somewhere. And we were trying to incorporate the issues that had been discussed. And as Council Members Shaw and Supervisor discussed, the fact that we weren't able to do the testing at the events that have been raised as potentially problematic, they went forward to do the base level, and the resolution does contemplate this, the subsequent testing. So I guess the options for this board are either, trying to go forward with what's here tonight and working on the fly, or if you wanted to have some more public discussion about it amongst yourselves as to what the conditions are and what you believe is appropriate to be in there in a public setting. You could table it for tonight and hold a work session next week with a revised resolution that incorporates the comments that have been made tonight, and then you can kind of discuss it and feel out how you want to go from there.
Does that sound good to everybody? I'd like to postpone it till next work session next week
Yeah, next.
for further discussion.
And
Of the draft
what
of the
has been said, the public
conditions.
hearing is closed.
Right.
You do have an element on your agenda for comment on agenda items, so that was the opportunity to discuss it. And it did give the opportunity to weigh in on what is in the actual resolution. So if that is the way that the board wants to go, you can table it for tonight.
Okay.
And I do also just want to reiterate what you said, that from a legal standpoint, the public hearing was properly continued to the March 13th meeting. It was on your agenda, and at that meeting, you did continue the public hearing. You took comment from the people who were there, which at that meeting was just the applicant, and then you discussed on the record possible conditions to include and issues that, had been addressed or needed to be addressed, and it was after that discussion that the public hearing was closed.
Okay, thank you. All right, so without further ado, is there no other comment on any other agenda items? Then I think we'll move into board resolutions.
Resolved, resolved that the town, sorry about that. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the March 13th, 2018 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
So, I'm sorry, these are just all doing minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved the town board hereby approves the voucher detail report dated March 27th, 2018 in the amount of $12,237.53 for 2017 and $496,180.99 for 2018 for a grand total of $508,418.52.
Okay, do you have a motion?
So moved.
So we're finally done with processing 2017 bills, although we did have,
Telling me.
I know, we keep saying that, we had a few more remaining, but the vast majority of this bill run is 2018 expenses, and some of them are significant. Besides the usual electric, workers' comp, and medical bills, we also made our first progress payment to the Village of Briarcliff on the 9A North State Road work, about half of which is being paid by a multimodal grant secured for us by Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff. And the other big hit is the Freightliner truck, which was on order for 8 months to a year for our highway department. These trucks are significant investments, but generally they last us about 20 years. I saw truck number 58 at the highway garage last week, and it is looking fine in its Omaha orange. We look forward to using it through many snowstorms to come, but not anymore in 2018, please. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Whereas it,
Oh, she was like, she gulped. I thought she was abstaining. Okay. Okay.
Whereas the Think Differently initiative is about promoting awareness and acceptance of all people and advocating for the inclusion of all individuals living on the autism spectrum and with special needs, and whereas the Ossining community is demonstrably stronger because of our diversity and differences, and whereas according to the Center for Disease Control, over 55 million people, or nearly 20% of Americans, have a type of disability or special need, and whereas for some people with special needs, the very qualities that make them unique can also keep them on the sidelines, separate from those who may not understand their differences or uniqueness, which may cause families with special needs to feel excluded from the sense of community we work hard to cultivate here in Ossining. And whereas it is important to promote and provide guidance to those with special needs on how to access publicly supported services available to them within the community, such as Northeast and Northwest Recreation Services, SPARC, Westchester ARC, Open Door Family Medical Centers, the Special Education Parent Teachers Organization in the Ossining schools, accessible parking permits, affordable and supportive housing, and whereas it is important to encourage and educate our community and our businesses on ways that they can make facilities and services more accessible to, and on how to train staff to welcome and support special needs customers and co-workers, and whereas the goal of this initiative is to provide a supportive and inclusive environment for individuals of all abilities by supporting community events that expand family-friendly opportunities for people with special needs and their families, and whereas adopting the Think Differently initiative is an important statement that our town officials, business owners, and residents can make to show their support for Ossining's differently abled children and adults and their families. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Ossining hereby pledges to think differently and encourages residents and business owners to adopt the Think Differently initiative so that all are better prepared to communicate with, provide for, and support those living in the autism spectrum and with special needs.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so you may recall that a few weeks ago, we discussed this concept and this resolution at a work session. It was something that had been brought to our attention by Dutchess County Executive Molinaro, and my colleagues and I were firmly on board with passing this resolution. We actually shared it with some members of SEPTO in Ossining, and they gave us a couple of minor revisions, but basically we're very supportive. We encourage our residents and business owners to consider how they can think differently to the benefit of all who live in our community. And if there's one thing in Ossining that I think we can all agree on, it's that our diversity makes us stronger. I know I speak for the entire board when I say I'm proud to pass this resolution tonight to affirm our values as a community. And seeing some members of our of Ossining's finest in the back, we also acknowledged that Ossining Police Department has taken on the autism awareness also for the police department, and they've gotten some training. So I think, and I believe the village has also passed a similar resolution, so we're very excited to be part of the bigger community effort to do this. And after we pass this resolution, I'm hopeful that we can share it with the schools and the local businesses so that they can have an understanding that this is something that we all believe in. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Wonderful.
Madam Supervisor, would you like me to send certified copies of this resolution to the Board of Education?
I would like that very much. And we'll take a look and see what we can do with some of our local businesses as well, share it with our Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining authorizes a budget transfer adjustment and increase for capital projects 5203 from $95,254 to $146,254. Cedar Lane Park revitalization to restore restrooms, pavilion site work, drainage, paving, and charging stations. The special purpose project budget portion of $73,116 is funded through a transfer from general fund balance, replacing the transfer from in lieu of parklands. An increase of $51,000 is funded by a state grant for the charging stations and general balances.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So as part of closing out the 2017 books, we needed to make sure that all of our active capital projects were tidied up. As you probably know, we have been doing a lot of work in all of our parks and at Dale Cemetery, and that work will continue in 2018 between the electric vehicle charging stations, the Cedar Lane Park path, and final improvements on the pavilions at Gerlach, Cedar Lane, and Ryder Parks, to say nothing of the structural work on the caretaker's cottage at Dale Cemetery. We definitely have our work cut out for us, and I thought we were going to hear a little bit more about that tonight, but we'll have to postpone that for next time. However, improving and expanding our facilities for the use of our residents and visitors is an investment in Ossinin's long-term future, and I believe part of our fiduciary responsibility to our residents and our taxpayers. And I'm excited to keep going this year. I also will note that the in lieu of Parklands funds that we were anticipating getting from one of the buildings is, we found out after we had it budgeted that it's coming in later than we expected, because it's coming in with the certificate of occupancy instead of the issuing of the building permit, which was how it was structured by the planning board. So unfortunately, we didn't know that it was going to be quite so long, and that was part of the reason for the transfer. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved the town board, the town of Ossining authorizes a budget transfer adjustment and increase for capital project 5204 from $65,586 to $81,586. Ryder Park revitalization to restore restrooms, pavilion site work, drainage, repaving around cement floor, basketball court, connection to the parking lot, and charging stations. The special purpose project budget portion of $33,000 is funded through a transfer from general fund balance, replacing the transfer from in lieu of Parklands, and the increase of $16,000 is funded by a state grant for the charging stations.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Just one more comment about all the work that we've gotten done in our parks is mostly all of the work has been done in-house, and we get a tremendous bang for our buck by using our in-house talent in our parks department to take care of a lot of structural improvements. So we're very grateful for all that hard work and look forward to the continuation of it. And I don't think it's ever finished, but hopefully we're going to have some big major structural improvements that we can kind of sit back on in the near future. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved the town board of the town of Ossining authorizes a budget transfer adjustment for capital project 5205, Gerlach Park revitalization to restore restrooms, pavilion site work, drainage, repave around cement floor, and service road. The special purpose project budget portion of $41,000 is funded through a transfer from general fund balance, replacing the transfer from in lieu of Parklands.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
This is the rest of the money that was coming from that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Resolved the town board, the town of Ossining hereby authorizes a budget transfer adjustment and increase for capital project 5206 from $47,011 to $63,011. Angle Park revitalization to restore restrooms, pavilion site work, and charging stations. The special purpose project budget portion of $30,884 is funded through a transfer from general fund balance, replacing the transfer from in lieu of Parklands, and the increase of $16,000 is funded by the state grant for the charging stations.
Do I have a motion?
Question.
Just have
What
a
pavilion?
friendly amendment. It shouldn't say pavilion site work. It should say
Yeah, exactly.
it should say picnic area site work.
go. Okay.
Sorry. Thank you. Good question.
I was there last night. Midnight, as always.
Right, we have a motion by Councilman Wilshire.
Right, a friendly amendment.
Second.
Second. Okay, second. Councilwoman Feldman.
Okay, thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mention in the catch.
Sorry.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Resolved that the town board, the town of Ossining authorizes an increase to capital project 2198 from $51,630 to $60,873. Sanitary sewer improvements, Croton Dam and Kitchewan Road, for sewer main relocation and new manholes. The project budget increase of $9,000 $243 is funded by a transfer from Consolidated Sewer Fund balance.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So, and this was the project that was done, that we tagged onto the state, the work that the state was doing. So again, we got a lot of good work done by the state, and we did add a little bit to it to make sure that we had all those improvements done and in place. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved, the town board of the town of Ossining authorizes capital project 2015-5193 entitled Cedar Lane Park Electric Restoration with a project budget of $60,000 to be closed in 2017 and the remaining balance of $8,165 to be transferred back to the general fund balance.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Tabled.
Yeah. Resolved, the
We're not
town
quite
board
there
of the town of Ossining hereby appoints Vittorio Sola Ossining to the probationary full-time position of laborer in the town highway department at an annual salary of $59,760 effective April 2nd, 2018.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So we are very much looking forward to welcoming Vittorio to the town team. Vittorio grew up in Ossining and is by all accounts an incredibly skilled craftsman and a hard worker. We're eager for him to get started with the town highway department on Monday. Congratulations, Vittorio. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Now, resolution K, we just need a motion to table.
I have a motion. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So I don't think we're going to have any further discussion, but I had invited some members of our police department. Can I have them as part of discussion before we table this to come up or not? No, yes, maybe. I'm asking.
Well, looking at you.
Christy. Yeah,
I didn't realize that was the case. I
Okay.
probably, okay.
had them come up, but so we'll have it taped so we can at least refer back to it. Yes, no, maybe.
Is it just to
To just talk about the resolution that we're about to table.
just to provide similar comments to, or just any comments that they may have had, or?
Do you know what you were going to say? Okay, so I'm going to just leave you guys out of it then, okay? Okay. All right. We won't have any discussion until then. We probably will need you back though for the work session, if you don't mind, for next week. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. All those in favor of tabling this resolution K, granting a cabaret license renewal to Ballroom Studio of Westchester, we are tabling this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a question. They're working without a license now, right?
True.
And we keep tabling this. We gotta do something,
We don't keep tabling this. This is the first time we've had a resolution to table.
but it hasn't been done. They haven't got a license.
We know. Because we want to get it right. We understand that. Yeah, I get it.
And that's why we're not waiting until May when we're able to complete all the testing to do it. But there were, as I said earlier, there were some substantive issues with the resolution that was initially drafted, both from the applicant and members of the public, that the board may want to consider and incorporate. And from a logistics standpoint, it didn't seem efficient and would likely lead to some oversight and errors if we had tried to just do this on the fly and just start scribbling out different things. I don't think it's the intention of this board, and I don't think it has been throughout this process to drag it out. But, given the context of this application, and the fact that they have been pursuing the application and working with the town to do what was needed, holding it over for a work session and then possibly holding a special meeting that night if you're in a position to approve. At this point, another week is one more week.
And presumably, we could put on a special meeting
Right.
for next week to approve it. Okay. Okay. So I think we all said aye to that. So we're going to move on to L, please.
Resolved that the 2017 year-end budget is modified as described below, and it goes on for a number of
It
pages.
does. As described. Do I have a motion? So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I gotta find where to go. Okay, tax payment plan, 48 Gordon Avenue, whereas the town of Ossining is required to collect town, county, and school taxes from the municipality with the onus on the town to make whole the county and school district for any uncollected taxes, and whereas the receiver of taxes has been approached by a property owner requesting a short-term payment plan for the owner-occupied property at 48 Gordon Avenue, Briarcliff Manor, tax parcel designation identification number 90.15-2-38, and whereas the town board pursuant to Article 5 of the Ossining Town Code, as authorized by Section 1184 of the New York Real Property Tax Law, before entry of a final judgment may withdraw a parcel for which payment of real property taxes is delinquent from a foreclosure proceedings and enter into an installment plan for payment of all delinquent taxes as well as interest and penalties, and does occasionally grant such a plan and has the discretion to accept or reject any proposal by a residential or commercial property owner, providing the owner meets the eligibility requirements set forth in Section 180-17 of the Town Code, and the payment plan conforms to the requirements of such repayment plan set forth in Section 180-18 of the Town Code. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby grants the aforementioned payment plan, which terms comply with the Town Code, to this property owner who has been determined to be eligible, with the understanding that this sets no precedent going forward for this or any other property in the future.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So, not that it matters, but this particular property had a fire and the entire property was lost. And I think that there was maybe a misunderstanding on the part of the homeowner about the taxes that were due. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do. The property was assessed at a lower assessment after the fire, and taxes are still due on this property. But this is what we have in our bag of tricks that we how we can help, which is to offer a payment plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We have no correspondence to be received and filed. We have no monthly reports, which brings us up to visitor recognition. Is there anyone who's come to address the board?
Okay.
Not seeing anyone, may we have a motion to adjourn to executive session for the advice of counsel and personnel? And I would like to request that it be in the memory of Jimmy Gallery, a 63-year-plus member of the Ossining Fire Department, and also the father of our second assistant chief, Scott Gallery.
Absolutely, and I'm so sorry to have learned this. I learned this very late this evening. I believe the wake was this evening, and we are so sorry for the family, and our hearts go out to the Galleries. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I hope everyone is looking forward to the longer days and warmer weather this week as spring begins in earnest. Fingers crossed. We will see you right here next Tuesday, April 3rd, for our regularly scheduled work session. Wishing everybody a very happy Passover, Easter,